Hey, what's up guys? This isn't my typical, run-of-the-mill video. Today, we're going to be talking about the MCU Spider-Man. I got both the Blu-rays right here. I have all of his appearances except for Civil War on Blu-ray. Okay, I just want to say before I get into any of this that I love this character. And he would be my favorite, adaptation of Spider-Man if it weren't for one huge factor. And that factor is this movie. This entire movie, except for Act 3. Okay, so let me just start off with this here. You take Homecoming, right? This film is about nothing but consequence, right? It's about nothing but those consequences and just most of the really good fundamentals about Spider-Man feeding into his own character growth in his own film, right? It's a great solo film, it's a great, tie into the MCU and stuff like that. And I don't have a problem with the Stark Tech. I'm just going to say that right now. I have no problem with that at all. Okay. It makes sense. Tony Stark would help out the kid. He sees himself in the kid. He's going to help the kid out. It's sort of like a prodigal son type of deal. So yeah, there are very little things that I would change about Homecoming. One thing that I would probably have put into the movie would be a scene where, Peter is genuinely asking Ben what to do. Or something like, hey, I'm listening to his voicemail, I still care about Ben, it's just something like that. Because in Civil War, we got that scene where, he and Tony were talking, and he had explained to Tony that him and Aunt May had gone through some really just traumatic stuff. So that was good, right? But I don't feel like that's enough to make me feel like Spider-Man cares about his dead uncle. And I'm not even asking for a new origin story. I'm glad that we didn't have an origin story for a third time in 5 years between the Amazing Spider-Man and Homecoming. But a lot of people bash the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and I mean, yeah, I can kind of see how you wouldn't like those movies, but at the same time, if you compare those to this movie or even Homecoming, I mean, I think Homecoming's probably about even in terms of keeping up with the fundamentals of Spider-Man versus the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And the things that I would change about Homecoming would be, I would want him to be a little bit closer with his aunt, right? I get that he's not really going through anything like super duper emotional, so he can't really get that sort of much needed character development between him and his aunt. But I feel like, with just school and everything, and then that whole party thing, I'm pretty sure that she comforted him, but I don't know. Marissa Tomei's version of Aunt May is just, it's just frustrating, kind of. I don't hate it, but it's just not Aunt May to me, to be honest. And then you just have MJ, which is, that's in Far From Home, but that's just extremely frustrating as well. Why would you name her Michelle? Why wouldn't you name her Mary? I don't have a problem with her, being a different skin color or anything. I don't give a flying shit about that. But you take this character and then you change her first name, but you call her MJ. Who is that serving? Who is that? Who is like, oh my god, I love that so much about this movie? Who is saying that? I don't think anyone feels that way towards Zendaya's MJ. And I get that it's supposed to be different, right? These movies are supposed to be different from his 5 predecessors. But that just frustrates me so much. They just changed way too many things, I feel like. And onto the real, shitfest of Far From Home. I'm not gonna say that I hate this movie. But this movie knocks Tom's Spider-Man down to number 2 on my list. The first 90 minutes, oh my god. A fucking rom-com going on a field trip that puts Spider-Man in the backseat of his own movie. That's beautiful, man. That's cinema gold right there. That's so good. Why not put them on summer vacation where you have less characters to worry about, you have less actors to pay for their roles, and you have more one-on-one time with Peter Parker? Why not do that for the first like 90-ish to, I don't know, just Act 1.5 was just awful. It was, oh man, every time I watch it, I'm just like, I can't wait, for Act 2 and 3. I just don't like it. I don't like the first half of this movie at all. It is not a Spider-Man movie. And I'm going to agree with HiTop Films here 100%. And he actually, he gave me this idea, like he made me see this about the film. This film being a rom-com and not being anything serious until like really late into the film is bullshit. That is straight bullshit to me. I don't like that at all. I don't. I love the happy scene, and I love now, even though it's kind of lazy writing to make Spider-Man super selfish like this early into his, like Spider-Man career, I do get that it was supposed to make Quentin and Peter bond a little bit more. But my friend had brought up this really good point that would have been a really good substitute for that. Not a substitute, it would have been a great replacement. He had said, what if he just had Peter close himself off from everybody because he feels guilty for Tony's death, and then Quentin is the one person that he trusts with it, and then you have that foundation right there laid out and built, and then you don't have selfish Peter being selfish Peter, which is kind of out of character. Like but I defend that point because it's like that was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and also Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man 3. Like Spider-Man 3, that it was nothing but egotism in Spider-Man 3, which is amazing, but. Yeah, I completely agree with what my friend said about that. But that's just extremely frustrating to me. That I have to sit through so many minutes of bullshit just to get to the good shit. Like just to get to Spider-Man, I have to sit through 90 minutes of bullshit of his classmates. Like, where's Peter? Why doesn't Peter move the plot forward? Why is it the school moving the plot forward? Why is that? Why is the school a main character in this film? Why is that even a thing? I get that putting his friends in danger causes tension and whatnot, but is it really tension if you find out later that that scene was fake? That was all holograms and controlled explosions? Like, doesn't that kind of denounce what you did completely? Doesn't that completely dismantle and destroy it and make it all for naught? I don't know whose fault it is that this movie turned out the way it did, but they could have had something so good. Spider-Man 3 has to be focused on Peter. It absolutely has to, because for the sake of his character, if Spider-Man 3 is anything like this movie right here, this will be the worst cinematic Spider-Man. Homecoming did something really, really good, right? They had nothing but consequence in the film. Every sequence was caused from consequence, whatever. Every scene was built upon a consequence that Peter had chosen because he had figured that that was the right thing to do. And that is amazing, And like I said, the only thing that I would add is Uncle Ben mattering and him being a little bit more close to May somehow. Also, I would probably change the fact that Vulture fucking hates Tony and doesn't care or know Peter Parker. And both of these movies have done that, and that's fucking stupid as well. I hate that so much. Spider-Man 3 has to make up for that. It has to. Because if not, I don't think there's going to be a Spider-Man 4. Like, critics love this movie, which is really weird, because this movie is not... It's just funny how that goes, because it's like, diehard DC fans are like, Batman v Superman is, like, it's acceptable / they love it. Like, it goes from that acceptable to loving it, and then the critics are like, oh, fuck that movie. It's kind of like that, and then they're like, and then Spider-Man fans are just like, dude, this movie sucks, and the critics are like, oh my god, wildly entertaining. Bro, look, both of these movies say wildly entertaining right there. What the fuck? What is that? What is that? It's bullshit. It's stupid. Homecoming is great though. It's even, I think it's pushing masterpiece level. The only thing that would have made it better, like I said, is changing those three things. Far From Home is not a worthy predecessor at all to Homecoming. I don't think so. Why not? So I get that Tony is completely dead, you know, and everything. And I'm gonna defend the first half of the film a little bit right now. I'm gonna say that I like the fact that the school plays off Tony's death as like a, hey, we lost a hero, but we didn't really know who he was. But what if they had Peter, you know, commenting about that on it, or, you know, with his own opinions, like saying they didn't really know him like I did, you know, like just something like that. Just make it give Peter a little bit of frustration, because right there you have a really great character growth for your first 10 minutes of the film, right? Boom, done. And then you just build off of that from there. Then you have Ned being like, hey, what's wrong, you know, and then Peter's just all like, oh, well, you know, I'm just grieving over Tony and stuff like that, you know, the whole school news thing just got to me, and I'm just feeling a little bit down. And then, like my friend said, he could have closed himself off right then and there because he feels inadvertently guilty for Tony's death. Because Spider-Man has superpowers and Tony does not. And theoretically, Spider-Man would have survived the snipe, injured or not. So it's, you know, it's that kind of thing, because Spider-Man's always willing to make the sacrifice play. He's always that type of guy. And then Far From Home is just like, oh yeah, let's make him selfish and talk to Quentin Beck just because of what he experienced in Endgame, just because he lost Tony and someone who doesn't matter. He lost two people, but like we only really care about one person. Now, I'm not one of those people who are like Iron Man Jr. I don't think that's what Spider-Man is at all, but I don't also think that he is who Spider-Man is supposed to be. And that's frustrating because I love Spider-Man. You know, I love this movie, flaws and all, like, because it has its good moments. It has, you know, good pieces of writing. It just doesn't have... It's just frustrating just thinking about it. And what I would do to Spider-Man 3 is I would automatically, there's no questions asked, Charlie Cox's Daredevil better be in that movie. Uncle Ben better matter in some capacity more than a fucking briefcase and a jacket in that movie. Now, I don't know, because every fan is asking for this. So if they don't do that, then they really do not care about us at all as consumers. I think I'd pretty much nailed every point on the head. But yeah, the Amazing Spider-Man movies are better than Far From Home. There is no denying that at all. Even The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Peter was always trying to do the right thing in that movie. He was going through consequences. Hell, Green Goblin's birth is a direct consequence of Spider-Man, just like Lizard was. Both of those movies are about nothing but consequence from Peter's own actions. Gwen died because of Peter. You know, like Uncle Ben died because of Peter. Everything in those movies is consequence, and that's the main driver for Spider-Man is consequence. It's that give and take. You know, you have the good because you're saving people, but you have the bad because you're suffering from your personal life. And everything that Spider-Man does in most of this movie does not have consequences. They're played off as a joke. Kind of like, now there is one sequence in Homecoming where it's just like, hey, you can't be welcome back to the decathlon team. And then the teacher's like, hey, welcome back, Peter. But something like that I can forgive because it's just his school life, right? It's not his personal life at stake. That's his public life. Now, this movie just shits all over all of everything that Homecoming did, and it's just super frustrating. Shout out to HiTop Films for, you know, opening my eyes to the flaws of this movie. If it weren't for his videos, I probably wouldn't have, you know, grown my own opinions about it, and I probably would have eventually hated it by myself, which isn't really that bad of a thing, but then I wouldn't know why I hate the movie, and I'm glad that, you know, he helped me out with that, with his video. Shout out to you, bro. If you're watching this video, thank you so much. I love most of, if not all of your videos. I agree with you. But, yeah, guys, I'm sorry if you enjoy Far From Home. I do, too. But I'm just not motivated to watch it because of the bullshit that's in the first, you know, half of the film. I just don't like it. I'm not for it. I'm just Homecoming all day, man. Homecoming is the better movie. Of course, this is all my opinion, obviously. You know, like, if you love everything about Far From Home, that's great. You know, if you need it to be your anti-depression daily driver, that's fine. You know, like, you do what you gotta do. But I love Spider-Man, and in my opinion, Spider-Man shouldn't have the easiest life in the world. He should have a little bit of consequence like everyone else. He's supposed to be relatable, like Stan Lee himself, the man himself has said repeatedly. I don't know where they fucked up in this, but they fucked up, in my opinion. Alright guys, that's it. Longest video I've done in a while on this channel. I'm super passionate about all of this, so that's probably why this video has gone on for so long. Thank you so much for watching. Again, shout out to HiTop Films for real. And I will see you in my next review. Peace.